Insatiable has pageants, exorcisms, kidnappings, vampire fights, throuple relationships, even murder. Hey guys, it's Kristen, and today we're going to be talking about Netflix's new original series, Insatiable. This show stars Debby Ryan as Patty Bladell, who is a girl who has been constantly bullied and overlooked for her weight. One day she gets punched in the face by a homeless man and has to get her jaw wired shut and ends up losing a ton of weight. She teams up with Bob Armstrong, played by Dallas Roberts, who is an attorney, a pageant coach, and he thinks that she has the potential to be the next big beauty queen. But Patty isn't easily satisfied, and she's out for revenge against anyone who's ever wronged her. Just a warning, there will be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't seen it yet, pause here, go check out the show and come back. Or if you don't care about spoilers, let's continue. Following my review of the trailer of Insatiable, I was really excited to check out this show. I thought that there was a lot of potential for them to cover complicated topics, like bullying or body image in a satirical way. But after watching the show, I just feel a bit confused. I gotta start out by saying this show was not what I expected at all, and it was a complete roller coaster ride in every single sense of the word. I was expecting a show about a high school student who wants to get revenge on other students who wronged them, kind of like in the vein of Heathers. That is not what this show is. Insatiable has pageants, exorcisms, kidnappings, vampire fights, throuple relationships, even murder.
And this doesn't sound crazy to you when you say it out loud?
This show felt like it was all over the place. There were some scenes that were just really offensive, some things that I felt like didn't really work cohesively with the story, and at the same time there were some scenes that were actually truly wonderful. A big criticism for the show is that it was fat shaming, body shaming. I will say I don't think that that's true after watching the first season. Some of the moments that I really enjoyed addressed this, and we got to see Patty head on tackling these real and raw emotions that she's dealing with. She even says something along the lines of like she thought being skinny and having different friends and getting a boyfriend would make her happy, but she still feels like a loser. And I think that's a huge theme of the show, is that no matter what Patty does, there is this black hole within her that she can't fill, not with food, not with love, not with success, and definitely not with suddenly being skinny. There's actually an episode title in this season called Skinny is Magic, and I think after watching this full season, you can see that the opposite is actually true. Skinny is not magic. Skinny doesn't make Patty happier, it doesn't make her life easier, it doesn't make her life better. She's after revenge because that's what she thinks is gonna make everything better, but as we can see, it's not working. So what is it that's gonna make Patty happy? What is gonna make her whole? What is gonna make her a winner? And I think it's pretty clear that Skinny is not doing that for anybody, and that, I mean, honestly, the only way to be happy is to work internally. And going off of that, there were some really heartfelt moments that I think were really strong in the show. I think Bob and Patty did have a relationship where, Bob was trying to support her and help her find her voice and be a fatherly figure to her. I really enjoyed during the mother-daughter pageant when Coralie and Patty connected and had that bond. That was a really touching moment. I think it was very real when we got to see Patty trying on a bathing suit for the first time, and that panic that she felt. I think that that's a very relatable thing, and those were some of the glimpses that we got to see into the real Patty. There was a scene where Patty spoke with a woman who happened to be trans, and they were both expressing that uncomfortable feeling of trying to be yourself and be in your own skin and accept your body, and I thought that was really relatable. There was a moment where Patty finally had a heart-to-heart with her mom, and that was great too. There were just a few of these really great heartfelt moments that I was like, yes, this is what I want more of in this show. This is where, Debby Ryan really shines. I feel like I'm getting the real Patty here. But on the other side of that, it did feel like there was so much going on in this show that it felt really long. It felt very tangly to get through. It's kind of like when there's a detective board and there's all these different strings connecting things, but then there becomes so many strings that it just gets a bit messy. That's what this felt like. There's so many things happening, exorcisms, kidnappings, all this stuff. I think that there's a way they could have slowed things down a bit. Maybe kind of extended it so things happened in future seasons instead of everything being crammed into season 1. There was definitely a lot of shock value in the show, but at some points it felt like it actually strayed too far from the reality guidelines that they'd set for the series. I think the production and the script and the characters could have just been a little bit tighter. You know, there were certain times where I was watching the show and I was like, okay, Patty, you make sense, you're being rational here, I totally get it. And then there were other times where it was just completely like off the deep end, and Patty kind of creating and putting herself in these really wild and terrible situations. You know, I understand that Patty's had a difficult life. You know, she's struggled with people abandoning her and not having a father figure in her life and being bullied. But at the same time, you know, Patty is hurting the people around her and still seeing herself as the victim. I also feel like the revenge was never focused on the people at school that actually bullied her and hurt her, but more on the people that were in her life that truly cared about her, but maybe accidentally let her down. But what I think was the real issue here, and why I couldn't really understand Patty 100% of the time, was that the show was too packed. We didn't get a chance to really understand and learn about Patty before all of this stuff happened to her. You know, spend that first episode introducing us to who Patty is as a person. What are her personality traits? What are her quirks? You know, what is she like with her best friend? I feel like we didn't really get to see that, and all we saw was this new Patty, so I had nothing to compare it to. You know, instead of doing flashbacks, it would have been really great to see all of that in the first episode, and maybe have the first episode end in Patty getting punched and there's like a little nice cliffhanger there, and then you start episode 2 with this whole transformation. So now we got to really know Patty, we got to learn who she is, and now we'll be able to see like what is really going on here, what's the difference. Maybe there's also something that could have been done visually or script-wise to show that, you know, there's a difference between Patty and Patty with her rage, you know, that her rage really changes her and makes her lash out, because it was a little bit confusing. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you know, Patty could be trying to ruin Bob and Coralie's relationship or try to kidnap somebody, you know? And I mean, I know it's a fictional story, but there were some things that I thought took it a bit too far. You know, there was a storyline where someone was outed who wasn't ready to be outed. There was a storyline of someone who made up a fake accusation of being sexually assaulted when they weren't. And that's just not funny, especially not in 2018. As the season went on, I do feel like the show got slightly better, but I think the real intrigue for the show is more about the shock. Like, what are they gonna do next? This season ends right before Patty's big pageant, where we find out that she has killed not one, but 2 different people. What a cliffhanger. I honestly think that was a pretty smart cliffhanger to end on, because I was very up in the air about, you know, what did I think about the show? Like, will I continue if they did another season? I don't know. But after that cliffhanger, I mean, I need to know what's gonna happen next. But the deal is, like, will this show even get a second season? I don't know. I don't really know. I would love to know what you guys thought about Insatiable. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Does it deserve another season? Make sure to leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and click that subscribe button, because I come out with new videos every week. See ya!